Alrighty, welcome back. This is still Tea Time on PlusTvAfrica. You know how we do. We have special, amazing talents in the building, and today is no different. My dear Kuti, yes, I said that right. My dear Kuti is here with us today, and he blends aspects of the genres with jazz, highlife, rock, and reggae while maintaining the socially conscious themes that have always been at the forefront of his family's music. He grew up in the new Afrika Shrine in Lagos, studied at Trinity Laban Conservatoire in London. In October of 2020, he released his debut solo track, Free Your Mind, which was swiftly followed that December by Your Enemy. Let's welcome my dear Kuti. Hi. Hello.
It's a privilege.
Such a calming presence that you've got there. I mean, your shoulders should be like, you know, up there.
So I'm told.
What's your issue, that part?
I know they carry shoulders.
I want to ask a very quick random question.
All right.
When I meet people from families like yours that are very public and already have an image or like something that they're known for, and you happen to fit into that, I always want to ask, do you think it was pressure or you just happened to like music as well?
If you grow up in an environment, there's no way you won't be influenced by the things that are around you, right?
Sure.
And it's either a positive or a negative influence. For me, it was positive, so I liked what was going on, and I wanted to be a part of it.
Right.
And through that desire to be a part of it, I was given opportunities to experiment.
No pressure, but is there pressure?
There's no pressure. You know. There are places where people with not pure intentions try to create pressure.
Of course.
But I've been brought up well enough to know the difference.
I like that.
All right, so for me, right, you know, your family has different legacies. The great fella Nicolas Kuti has his legacy. Yeah. Your dad has his legacy. Your uncle has his legacy. What is Made's story? What are you trying to leave behind that if we're looking back at Made 50 years, 60 years, 100 years from now, what you want people to actually say about you?
I don't know, man. I'm just writing the story, but I'm writing it as it goes. But I know that no matter what direction I take and no matter what I do eventually, end up doing, because I imagine if it's musical, my sound will change over time.
For sure.
The way I approach life will change as I grow older. But that in everything I do, I really focus on substance and value.
Right.
All right. So, you know, a lot of people have seen, you know, your life, you know, from being a child. You even shared a picture on Instagram recently, World Kiss Day, where you shared a kiss with your dad while you were still very young.
Yeah.
You shared that on your Instagram. And then, you know, that close niche friendship with your dad, right? But a lot of people want to really know, what was the struggle for you? Apart from the things that you love, because I know you picked up on instruments, you know, beats by beats, you know, growing up. I know how your Fridays were your dad playing in the Afrika Shrine 4 times a week.
Yeah, exactly.
I know how your Fridays went, and now you picked up on each instrument. I know you played all the instruments on your album.
Yeah.
So I know how you put all of these things together. But what was the struggle? What was that thing that once in a while you just look back and you just wish, man, could I have been born into an Afrika family and not a Kuti family? You know?
No, I've been fortunate that I've never. So what I often say is that my upbringing is very different to my father's. He was raised by Fela, and that was a totally different setting for a child. Fela had an open house policy, so anybody could come in and out of Kalakuta. He puts his children on the same level as anybody else in the house, because everybody had to have like an equal status. So they weren't allowed to call him dad or father. Oh, wow. So they had to call him by his first name like everybody else. I had the opposite. I grew up in the shrine as well, but
You had a dad.
exactly, that made sure that he put me before anybody else, any staff, even other family members. So I've always had the feeling of belonging. And where I've seen that, you know, the Kutis, we have our challenges, we have certain things that, like everybody else, you know, the ups and downs in everything that you do. I've had the opportunity to look at it from an objective point of view with my dad and say, okay, this is the list of things that we have to prepare for, and this is how we prepare for it. So I've never had that.
Okay.
I've never wished I was, what was the name?
My son, actually.
Okay, so for me, I'm asking this question from a very ignorant place now, because I've not heard about your name in music until recently. And I said ignorant.
I only started recently.
Because I was going to say maybe you're thriving somewhere else in another space that I wasn't aware of.
No, I'm not.
But for me, it's like you came about really recent. Like I remember seeing a picture of you and your dad and everything. I was thinking, oh, okay, he's singing now. So until recently, I'm glad that you've already answered sort of that. This is new, so it's not ignorant. Okay.
No, all I did as a child was play with my dad. So I did a lot of...
Which you saw a lot of that, you know? Yeah, we're part of your life.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like I practically changed your pampers. I'm just messing with you.
I mean, I did a lot of tours with my dad when I was a child. So I think I went to every continent except South America. So I played some of the biggest festivals and venues like the Hollywood Bowl, Glastonbury. We played Australia, we played Japan. And through all that time, all that I felt as, you know, an 8-year-old was just life. I didn't think it was anything special. I missed so much class. I remember failing a lot in primary school because I missed so much class. But then, you know, growing up older and then getting into secondary school, my dad not allowing me to travel with him anymore. And I started to understand the value of everything that I did as a child. And as time went on, I decided that I didn't want to indulge in anything publicly, musically. Until I decided I was ready to start that journey for myself. So I didn't do anything publicly for about, I didn't play with my dad for over 7 years. So I came back, I finished Trinity in 2018. I toured with my dad for a year. Wrote my album in 2019, recorded in 2020, released in 2020.
My follow-up question to why I'm just hearing from you now is why you decided it's time. Is it the age? Because I know that you're also a young adult, so is it because you feel like you're ready to handle the public, when I say interact, because I know that's a different space. Why now? Why not wait another 5 years?
Because I was already eager to start, but I wanted to finish education. I think music is actually a very difficult profession. There's a lot of skill required. There's a lot of... music theory is so vast that there's so many different approaches to it. With so many different, like, Western music theory is so different from Eastern music theory. The way you approach harmony and tonality. Now I'm talking gibberish. But what I'm trying to say is there's so much to music and so much to understand that I didn't want to come out ignorant. Especially from the background that I have. Fela was musically educated, and to a degree, even though Fela deprived my dad of that education, my father's work ethic developed that, you know, sense of ethic for the way he approached music. So I am very conscious of how the level of musicianship around the world.
All right. So,
and I didn't want to represent Nigeria on the world stage as a musician that didn't understand music.
All right. So there's this, you know, funny narrative about you that is just very suiting. That everybody else says Made Kuti as a calm, collected guy. Even when you're talking, you must not listen. That guy is talking. Let's just listen to what he has to say.
I don't know.
But your family has a history of rascality, for lack of better words. Permit me to use that language, where, you know, your dad was seen as the guy who fought. Your grandfather was seen as the one who fought against the government, who said things that are still happening in Nigeria to date. Let's move on to the next generation, which was your dad, right? I've been at the Afrika Shrine. It doesn't take nonsense. We know that where he walked out somebody, but he came down from the stage. I was present that day and said, go outside, because he was doing something in Lego in the African Shrine.
To know that, been following from the beginning.
So I know this. Now, let's come to Kuti. I've interviewed Sheon on this show. He was even on Zoom. And he has his lighter with him, and you know, and we saw all of those things. Now, there's a history, right? But there's no controversy. Is it intentional? Are you trying to be the Kuti that keeps everyone else in check? Like, not all like that.
Nah, I just do what I feel like doing. I think...
I'm getting somewhere with this, but go on.
I think I take after my dad. Have you sat down and had a chat with him? He's a very calm and collected person
that calm
as well.
spirit, for sure.
The only difference is when he's on stage and when he becomes a performer. I think performance, I'm very energetic, and daily life, I'm just
All right, so now, the reason I asked this question, we want your bad boy story. What is the baddest thing that Madi has done that even you were shocked, like, hey, Madi, did you do this? What is that bad story? Because we don't have anything. Just give us. Be the one to tell us.
Even if I had it, I would not say it.
On national television.
So you've not done anything, you know, extremely, you know, juvenile delinquent days?
Hey, wow.
No, I haven't done anything delinquent or juvenile. I've been a child. I've made mistakes. No, I haven't done anything.
What's your biggest mistake?
I'm not going to say.
My own question though, because I feel like if his question too is intertwined with mine. I've been to the shrine, but it's not my go-to. But when I went there, the first thing I realized that it did for me, based on how I was raised, that it exposed me to people that all I have about are stereotypical ideas. But you see, there's something about that space that makes them very human, and makes me understand them a bit better. Like there's nothing to actually be afraid of. It's safe. It's really safe. Like my bag wasn't stolen. I thought by now I'll come up with scars and everything. But I think you have this demeanor that for me bridges the gap between those people and people like us that are a lot more sheltered. Do you feel like you have that responsibility to communicate to both worlds based on how you were raised, having the best of both worlds as well?
Yes and no. I think I'm placed where I am quite naturally. Like I grew up in the shrine, but I am from a middle class family. And at the same time, I'm very passionate about what the family represents, and which is what the average man struggles and woman struggles in Nigeria for a progressive society, for a more decent and conscious people. And you can't fight for truth without being aware of what the average Nigerian life is like. And the average Nigerian life is the person that comes to shrine. Those are the underprivileged, the undereducated, the, very just the downtrodden of society.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you see how they manage to develop certain kinds of survival skills and, communities for themselves to thrive, to be happy, then you, like you said, when you come to the shrine, you understand that they're human. And more importantly than that, they significantly outnumber the middle class. They are Nigeria.
Yeah, Nigeria.
They are by far the most populated community. They are the most influential, because if they decide that anything is going to change, then it's going to change.
I like your response, because I want to see through your eyes, and I want Nigerians to also see through your eyes, because in one of your songs, Your Enemy, right?
Yeah.
You spoke about police brutality. But before you went on to even tell us why we should not be happy with you, also told us about the problems that these police officers go through on a daily basis, how they're underpaid, how they live in very terrible conditions, and how they were taking our brothers, our sisters, and all of that. Now, we know you don't really like to get political, but through your eyes, what do you think is the ground cause of the problems of Nigerians, not of Nigeria, of Nigerians?
Me, I think it's miseducation. I think it's misinformation, and I think it's a degree of ignorance as well. We don't know. For example, I only recently understood that a majority of Nigerians don't know how the word Nigeria came about, or even what Lagos means. And
Educate us.
you don't know what Lagos means. So I was fortunate because I was in Portugal for a show, and I saw a post saying like Lagos in so kilometers. I was thinking, guy, what Lagos? He said, yeah, your city was named after ours because Lagos means lake, and Lagos is surrounded by water. So it's and we're raised in schools. We're not taught anything about colonial history, nothing about pre-colonial history, and most certainly nothing about ancient Africa. The Western man and woman grows up in school, and they learn everything about themselves. They learn so much about themselves that they learn lies about themselves. Their egos are bloated about what their history represents. And constantly, the Nigerian is faced with challenges that nothing is there to inspire him to believe in who he or she is and who he or she can be. So the average Nigerian just doesn't have any hope in society. Everybody now is just planning on how to jackpot.
Okay, we're getting a bit serious. It's an entertainment show, okay? So let's go back to your music, shall we? I know that this must follow you everywhere because of just the nature of the weight of your surname as well. But let's go to your music, please. Especially for us that were very fresh to your sound. Can you explain to people like what your sound is like? What music? If I like to ask this question, like what music means to you, and how, like without us hearing it, because we are going to hear it before we let you go. But before that, how do you describe that to new ears?
Everything I write is fundamentally Afrobeat, and then I try to develop ideas from there. So I played a lot of jazz in my life. I studied contemporary classical music. I've played highlife. I play multiple instruments. So everything that I've done so far.
Don't be humble. Multiple instruments like?
Multiple instruments. Like everything on my album. I played all the instruments on my album.
Is there an instrument that you don't play?
Yeah, trombone.
Okay.
Violin.
Okay.
So there's an element to, there's a divide, I think, when I write. There's a thing that I try to convey that is simple and pleasurable. I want people to enjoy the music.
For sure.
But I want there to feel like there's a process to there's the technicalities that come from music. And music can be very simple, like Gangnam Style, for instance. Or it can be really complex, like, you know, Beethoven's Symphony No. 5. And I try to find the balance between them. I want people to enjoy the music, but I don't want them to
forget.
I want them to be inspired and enlightened from it as well.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to take on something just to shake the table a little bit. A lot of the times, we listeners can tell sometimes when we are listening to something very light, very pop, very silly, and then we can also tell. We might not know it in the way that you know it.
I think everybody can tell. Yeah.
Yes, but how do you feel about, because in the Nigerian space, there is a lot of that. There's a lot of, like I used to say, bangolo music. How do you feel about stuff like that?
There has to be balance. There has to be that, and then there has to be the
real music.
I didn't say that. There has to be that, but what I fear is that the average musician that cares about musicality and, you know, developing his skill is very underappreciated, and even more so than that, society doesn't provide any opportunities for him to grow or her to grow as well.
Yeah, because sorry, go on.
No, you can't.
Okay, because the music that you just described, I'm not sure what kind of acceptance that we have in society for that. And I know that you're still new in the business, but do you think that you so far have been received well? That's the way to say it.
If I'm being honest, better than I thought. And recently we have as many new numbers as we have on the album, and they've been received even better than, you know, the songs from the album. I think.
Right.
Have you seen any of my shows?
I haven't been
You
to
see now, you have to be.
Yes, but I've been to all, don't worry. At least I have a good track record.
Yeah, you do. So don't spoil it.
It's just the final. But before, you know, we let you go, let's talk about forward, let's talk about legacy, and the fact that you always bring in new acts into your music. I've seen a lot of guys that have like 1,000 followers that work with you. Do you understand that they are not, but you just bring everybody in? Is that a family thing, you know, carrying everybody along? And let's talk about your album real quick. Where can people find it? Where can they find you on social media and all of that?
That's a lot. Social media at Kuti on Instagram, Twitter at Kuti, and I think that's all I do.
We'll let you put
Triller at Kuti. Yeah.
And your streaming platforms, what's it called?
Yeah, all Spotify, iTunes, all of them.
Kuti.
Kuti, yeah.
Okay.
So why work with this new, you know, guys?
Honestly, I'm open to working with anybody. It doesn't matter if it's new or old. I just like music. I like musicians. Okay.
And what song are we trying to support right now? Like, what's the new, freshest thing that you've done?
Maybe a feature with Kida.
Kida?
Yeah, Cherry Mango.
Okay.
That would be odd. We like that.
In fact, I feel like that's a nice cherry on the top for us. But unfortunately, that's all that we can take because I feel like Madi doesn't allow us to be talking to him all day.
Or the feature with Runtown.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I like that.
And then it comes again. All the features.
There's another cherry on top of the other cherry.
Wiz is a friend of the family. Anything with Wiz?
No, not yet. Not yet.
I like not yet. I like that answer.
Are we working on something?
Not yet. Maybe.
Is there another cherry? Shall we end the show?
I think you should look forward to the new Caveman album.
Oh, are you in it?
Yeah, it should be.
Oh, okay.
And they were on your show as well.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen your show actually online.
That is a wrap, guys. I promise this is the last time. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Please feel free to continue this conversation with the hashtag TEATIME on all social media platforms. Remember that you can also catch up on all of our previous episodes, including this one, and all of our exclusive content by subscribing to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. That red button, guys. You can also find TEATIME on R2TV and in London on Ben Television. Thank you so much, Madi Kuti, for gracing us with your presence.
My pleasure, man.
Of course, you follow Care for keeping the entire show jiggy. And the entire production team as well. My name is Ifeoma, your favorite. I know. Thank you for watching. Bye.